Introducing the Lowe's List. While there's innovation in every aisle, these are some of our experts' top picks for 2021. Customize any load with the Whirlpool 2-in-1 washer. Control your home with a touch, thanks to Samsung Connected Appliances. Repel the rain with HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Everlast. And keep the job going longer with the exclusive new line of Flex Power Tools, made for pros. To see who made the full Lowe's list, visit Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in a new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series now streaming on Showtime.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel Abraham, joined by Damon McDonald. Damon, how's it going?
We are great. Sounds like everybody's riding a rainbow here. We're doing all right, right? Lots of good news behind the scenes. Everybody's, I don't know. I think we're turning a corner here, Joel. I think finally the gods are smiling upon us, and to boot, we got in front of the curtain. Is that even a? I don't even. I'm making things up as I go along. New Japan had a show that was pretty great. Well, I mean, it was good. It was great. It was a very good show, but with some surprises and some things that we'll be talking about, I'm sure, as Joel drives the boat. Where are we going first? Where would you like to go first with a little? You want to warm up a little first?
Yeah.
Should
we share some of the good news? Good news number one. I didn't tell you this, Damon. I bought a new MacBook because my old one is. I've had that since 2013, so it's pretty knackered at this point. I dropped it. I may have told you this. I can't remember if I shared this on the air. I dropped it from a great height several years ago, when I wanted to have a shave, but also wanted to watch, I think it might have been a G1 match. I remember it was a Taichi match, Taichi against Naito, I think, and I propped it up in the bathroom on a high shelf, facing the mirror so I could shave and also watch this Taichi match, and it fell off and cracked the screen. So I had to get the screen replaced, and since then the webcam hasn't worked. Now the battery's absolutely knackered. Like if I unplug the power supply, it just turns off straight away. It's at 0%, so I thought, you know what, just get a new one. I tried to get them. This is really boring. So I bought a new.
This is good. I'm into it.
I bought a new one. So I was really excited today. Like, yes, going to record the first podcast on the new MacBook. Then I realised that I'm not able to plug in the USB microphone to the new MacBook because it's got the new style of USB. So I'm recording on the shitty old MacBook, which is a big fuck up. But we'll manage.
Yeah, you got to get one of those. I know it's ridiculous to say in 2021, but I have the same MacBook, right? So there's like a little. You can get them on Amazon. They plug into the Thunder port. Is it Thunder port? Is that what I'm thinking of? And then you can connect a bunch of different peripherals. So I have like 2 USB, your power, and then an HDMI in. All on this little thin thing that you hook to your ports. So yes, it is amazing that is the case. Well, I have everything. Actually, I even have everything on a solid state drive that's external. So I have my operating system and my I would say 90% of my programs that I use is on the solid state drive, and the solid state drive is the size of maybe my index finger, and it's thin, and it plugs in. You can use. Now it's gotten boring. I've taken it the boring.
No, well, I was going to jump in and say I can't do stuff. External hard disks. I'm so fucking clumsy, Damon. Every time I have an external hard disk, I drop it like once a year. Really? It's an annual thing for me. So I've just got a collection of broken external hard disks lying around that. I'll probably never get around to fixing. But the other bit of good news is I found some imitation Strong Zeros in the shops. Now I've started to explore Bangkok a bit more and find these awesome Japanese supermarkets. And the ones that I found, it's exactly the same. The size of the can is the same. 9% alcohol, 0 calories, blah, blah, blah. This one is not Suntory. It's made by Sangaria. So I got a lemon one and I got a ramune, that's nice Japanese lemonade that comes in the glass bottles with the little glass marble and you pop it in and it goes all fizzy. So I got
fizzy, yeah.
And they're really good. I mean, I do prefer the Strong Zeros because you get more of the seasonal flavour varieties. And I got very wistful before Dominion started, Damon, because I was thinking back to June 2018 when I was sitting outside the Sakajo Hall in the sunshine and drinking my lychee flavoured Strong Zeros and meeting up with a couple of friends of the show. Sean, I remember Sean and his partner. We had a little chat I think I was in the Starbucks outside of Sakajo Hall, and I got very nostalgic. I was like, can it be nostalgic if it's 3 years ago?
Sure.
But yeah, I was thinking,
anytime you want.
It doesn't feel right. I mean, this is 2 Dominions in a row I've missed, and just hoping for better days in the future where I can drink my lovely flavoured Strong Zeros at the venues in Japan and enjoy it in person. But we make do with what we've got, and I'm enjoying my Sangaria strong drinks. So, cheers, everyone.
Look at this guy. He is living the life now. And now, are you in the apartment now?
Yes, I am. Hopefully...
You're officially out of the hotel?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm not. I'm still in the hotel at the moment. When you said the apartment, I've got Stockholm syndrome. This hotel is my apartment now. So, no, not moved out of the hotel yet. Hoping to do that maybe in a week. I would say, gun to my head, there will be one more hotel-based Super J-Cast left in me before we start moving over to the new place. So,
are you going to miss it?
The hotel? I will miss some things, yeah. The housekeeping, obviously, you clean all our fucking mess up every day. God bless them. Not having to do stuff like making the bed and tidying the bathroom and washing the towels and sheets and things like that. I will miss that. Staff here have been very good to us, and we're still under sort of a COVID semi-lockdown here in Bangkok, so the parks are still closed, but there's a nice little garden next to us that connects a coffee shop and some residences that we take Esther to every day, and she can have a little run around there and use up all her boundless energy. So I will miss that as well. So a bittersweet moment, but it's just insane to think about everything that's happened over the last 18 months and the fact that I've been living in a hotel for this fucking long. It's wild, Damon. It's going to be a hell of a story to tell Esther when she's older.
I promise you, yeah, that is, it's again, I don't want to say we all forget, but we all forget like how this has changed every aspect of your life, right? It is like COVID has changed every aspect of your life, from not only where you live to where you work to where you're fucking around so much you're producing more offspring.
Yeah. The only constant really has been my wife, Mally. But even then, the dynamics of your relationship change. I'm not, putting a value judgment on it, but she is now like Mally one, the mother of my child, rather than your carefree partner who before you have kids, when you can just do whatever the fuck you want and go out, eat out whenever, go on holiday wherever, and things change obviously when you have a kid. So in spite, I was going to say she's been the one constant, but really that's all changed as well. So my job, where I live, the places I go, the people that I hang out with, completely changed forever. Crazy.
It is unbelievable, dude. It is unbelievable. And through it all, you've been the anchor of this show. You've been the driving force. And you know what? Let's give it for Joel Abraham a little bit, people. Let's give it up for Joel Abraham. Fucking, what a guy. What a fucking guy.
Clap for me, people.
Yes!
Stand up and applaud.
Stop driving. Pull over. Get up. Get up out of your chairs. And I want you to shout out to the rooftops. We got that out of the way. That's good. our put ourselves over moment.
I'm really excited to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Me
this
too.
Week. And it's been a funny old year for New Japan, and there have been some weeks, I'm sure it's been the same for you, where you've woken up and been like, oh my god, have I got to talk about this shit again? But genuinely excited to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion show, which took place yesterday on Monday the 7th of June. Let me start off with a few questions here, Damon. So from, you might know this character, Brian McDonald, who says, holy fucking Shingo. More of an exclamation than a question, but yeah, holy fucking Shingo. And Steel O'Neill says, how fucking good was that? We got a new champ, Damon. We have a new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Let me just ask you first, what was your initial response when Shingo landed that Last of the Dragon and got the 3 count? Because there was, that audible gasp from the crowd when he landed the move. When I was watching it, when he hit the move, my first reaction to it was, oh, they're going to make Okada kick out of the Last of the Dragon. That's not good for Shingo. That was my mindset. I wasn't thinking like, fuck, he's going to beat him. I thought, oh, Okada's kicking out of his move. But then it didn't happen. We were 1, 2, 3, the shoulders stayed down, and it took me a while to process that. So what was your gut reaction when it happened?
The high-pitched, what? As I like to do. Yeah, that's exactly what? Like, I couldn't believe... I was with the crowd in an audible gasp. I was spoiler-free. I had actually a very busy day yesterday. So, in conversations behind the scenes with Joel, I said, okay, I'm going to watch this during my lunch break. And I kind of went backwards. So I started at the Okada Shingo match. And I was floored. And here's what I was floored with. Not so much that we were... that the title changed hands, but it didn't really change hands. It was vacant and somebody grabbed it. It was more of the fact that they went with a guy that was hot at the right time. It was hot. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like New Japan always seemed to miss the mark and miss getting that title to a guy who the people are behind, has momentum. It just didn't feel like they knew when to strike, And they would always tease it, and it was always like kind of like a New Japan thing where a guy had to wait, or whatever it was. And no matter what in-ring quality Shingo was able to produce, you just never thought he was going to be a guy. And
yeah, you thought he was like the next Ishii or the next Goto, the guy that you can sort of wheel out, have a tremendous high energy, high work rate main event, and then okay, back to the mid card you go.
Yes, he was going to be Shibata. He was going to be Ishii. Guys like that who consistently give you fucking everything they got and then some more. Produce in-ring stuff that's outstanding, and he even has a pretty awesome character, a pretty kick-ass character. He just wasn't going to be a guy. And that was the first thing that I thought of was, oh my God, they got it right. Oh my God, they got it right. They did it. And then it was just weird conceptualizing the idea of him being the top guy. You know what I mean? Like right now he is the top guy, which again is exciting and pretty fucking awesome, and almost as if Western fans, at least, and I think even Japanese fans, are like, oh, finally, a guy got it. A guy that we never thought would get it, that we always think, just give the title to this fucking guy. He's killing it. And they did it. And that was exciting.
I was talking to Manabu just before we started recording, and he's nailed it, I think. He said Shingo could be the people's champion. someone that everyone can get behind. And people are shocked about. I'm shocked about this. We've got a few questions about this. Anwar says, did the pressure of the domestic scene rising and malaise with the company from some fans force New Japan to break status quo and go all in on Shingo? And that's what I'm trying to unpick here, Damon, because we did not see this coming. Right, last week we sat here and we're like, 100% Okada's winning it. Shingo's got absolutely no chance, and we were dead wrong. And I love being wrong sometimes. We can sit here and predict things to a T. For months we've been saying, Will Ospreay's going to win New Japan Cup, then he's going to win the title, blah blah blah. But sometimes it's really refreshing to be completely wrong about stuff. And this is something that I just did not see coming at all, and it's got people really excited. I've seen a lot of people say that they're going to resubscribe to New Japan World, people that sort of dropped off in recent months, and I'm not sure that an Okada win would have had the same effect. We've seen that all before. I don't think that would have got anyone particularly thrilled. And Shingo winning it, some people have been drawing parallels to Evil's win this time last year, first time champion, but to me this one feels more earned because I think Shingo has been built up really well. We know he can deliver those match of the year caliber performances in the big spots, and even last year actually, when we were talking about last year's Dominion when Evil won the double titles, lots of people would have preferred Shingo to get that push that Evil got last year, but I'm glad that they didn't do it and they gave Shingo an extra year because he's been really elevated over the last 12 months. Like, he is, arguably one of the favourites or clear favourite for many people for Wrestler of the Year right now. Looking at, in 2021, the 2 Okada matches, the 2 Ospreay matches, the Jeff Cobb match, the Tanahashi matches. And he ticks a lot of those boxes that you want as a champ. Because this guy always delivers. He always delivers when he's put in those big main event spots. Every single time. I can't think of many matches over the last 12 months where I thought, he kind of shat the bed there. So he's got it all down pat in ring. The promos are good. That's something where I think he is superior to the likes of Ishii or Goto because he is able to deliver fiery, passionate promos that get the fans interested. And often, this product's been pretty dry at times, Damon. Sometimes, to me, it's felt like Shingo Takagi has been carrying this company. And some people, might have some questions about hot-shotting. The fact that we've had Evil and Naito, Ibushi, Ospreay, now Shingo, all holding the belt over the last 12 months. And 4 of those guys being first-time champions. And also seeing a couple of people saying they should have held off until they could get a proper crowd. I don't think you can book like that anymore, Damon. You can't tread water when Western interests, at least Western interest, is in the toilet. And I think this could be a shot in the arm for New Japan. No one's thinking about or talking about Will Ospreay anymore. It's kind of wiped that bad taste from the mouth, for all the stuff about, whether you dislike him personally or, the negativity about him relinquishing the title and going back home because of the injury and all the scuttlebutt that followed that. That's all been wiped clean. We got loads of fresh match opportunities. What do you think about the actual booking decision to put it on Shingo?
It feels fresh. It feels rewarding. I think rewarding is a solid term to use for a lot of fans of this product. Again, I go back to, it feels like it's a Shibata thing or an Ishii thing, where a guy that people really get behind and rally behind, and kind of scratch their head of why wouldn't this guy grab a shot?
So
why
sorry
not?
to interrupt, Damon, but I would also add to that, Shingo is a guy who we may not some of us may not have seen all of his Dragon Gate body of work, but with more recent New Japan fans, a lot of people following the product saw him come in as a junior tag guy. He started off, that was his big thing. The junior tag run with Bushi and the fact that he was never pinned, and then moving on to being a junior singles guy, and have been there from day one with his New Japan career at least, and gone for that ride and all the ups and downs that come with it, the junior tag stuff, the singles junior stuff, best of the Super Juniors, losing that, the run with the Never title, the New Japan Cup miss, so all of these things, we've been on that roller coaster, so it's a story that lots of fans can get behind, but just because we've all been there for all the twists and turns for his New Japan run.
Yep. Yeah, if you're just looking at it from his first time with Los Ingobernables, we've seen the whole New Japan run. The other thing is this. It does feel, and I get the point where people are saying, okay, this title that used to be, I'm going to say used to be a lot in this, because I think New Japan has changed. I think the jury is still out if it's for the better. I mean, we're talking about it positively here today, but I think it has changed in the sense that the idea of that title being this thing that is unachievable for a lot of people is over. At least now during and until they get out of the muddy waters of COVID shows, the idea of this title being this peak, which has its absolute pluses. Don't get me wrong. The idea of me sitting here saying, not everyone can be champion. Not everyone can be it. This belt is special. I think that is over to a certain degree. Certainly not everyone's winning this title. Chase Owens is not. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Chase Owens is not winning this title, okay? All right, let's be clear. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Master Wato is not winning this fucking title. But the idea of, again, go back in time. Even though it is one of the greatest matches of all time, did anyone really think Shibata was beating Okada that night? Did anyone? The match was fucking great. One of the greatest matches of all time. It ended Shibata's career. He put in that much effort. Did anyone going into it think Shibata's taking his fucking title? I don't know many who did. You were hoping for a great match. It delivered, and that's all that you expected. That's changed. That's changed. Now, again, we have circumstances that are beyond New Japan's control. You got Will getting hurt. You've got COVID shows. You got canceled shows. It's been a fucking clusterfuck. But, and again, maybe their hands were tied and they had to do what they had to do. Who knows? But at least they had the guts to fucking do something like this and to give it to a guy who's red hot, but not quite the guy. They gave him the title. And for that takes balls, that takes guts, that takes a little bit of self-reflection, right? And it takes, okay, how can we light a match under this promotion and start that fire again? And I think that exactly it was the right course. And again, you're right. I don't know if there would be as much buzz if Okada walked away with the champ. I sat here and I said, you need an anchor. You need an anchor. You need, stability, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe to get through the waves, you got to fucking step on the gas pedal a little bit and fight through the waves instead of riding the waves. Maybe.
Yeah, you brought up something there, Damon, that I was thinking about yesterday. I said on Twitter, actually, all the conventional wisdom of our New Japan fandom seems to be just, piece by piece going out the window. These little kind of unwritten rules that we have, like, X will never happen because of Y. Like, Junior's never going to beat a heavyweight, or a non-dojo guy's never going to win the title, or the G1 winner's never going to lose a briefcase, blah, blah, blah. All of those little things are one by one disappearing. And it feels like a product that is fundamentally changing many, many ways. And kind of like we're flying blind at the moment. You can't sort of hang your hat and think, well, they've always booked this way, so this is definitely what's going to happen, because there have been so many times over the last 12 months where we've been completely wrong. And that's exciting, but also a bit scary as well. Change is scary. And, this example that I just mentioned, we've got questions about this. Trish says, with Ibushi and now Shingo winning the belt this year, that's two former quote-unquote outsiders. Is prioritising those who came through your own system now a thing of the past? What do you say to that?
No, I still think that the idea of New Japan's system bringing them up through. But, I mean, let's be truthful here. I mean, Okada was technically an outsider, right? You know, Kenny, technically an outsider. So it's not like even in modern times it's been too much of homegrown talent. That being said, though, I still think that there is that is the core of who they are, and I will still believe continue to be. Again, I'm just flabbergasted in the fact that they got it right. And they gave it to a guy that, look, let's put it this way. If COVID was not a thing and the world was not turned upside down, would Shingo hold this title?
I would say no. I think the roster has been depleted for a lot of those things you mentioned. You know, people getting sick or people not being able to enter the country. You know, maybe one or two new signings that New Japan could have brought over if COVID weren't an issue. So I would say no. I think I don't want to say victim of circumstance, but okay. So Shingo, let me use a better phrase. He is benefiting. He's taken the ball and running with it. Right. I don't think he would have got this opportunity in a normal year. No.
Right. So he's making the here's the thing. We're making it sound like, he's making the most of a. Yeah, he is, but also, like, it is a feeling of New Japan saying, okay, look, I'm sure there's part of it is COVID related, and we got to do things to get through the waves.
But it sends out that message, doesn't it, Damon? Like, if it's a positive message to the rest of the roster or anyone else, like, if you are good enough, you can be the guy. Doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter how old you are, what company you made your name in. If you're good enough, if you can deliver like Shingo week in, week out in the big spots on the mic, then we'll give you the ball.
Right. I mean, it is exciting because it is, so the idea of the prognostication of shows and events, and even there are certain points in New Japan in recent history where it's February and we're already being like, okay, this guy's going to win New Japan Cup, this guy's going to do this guy's going to win G1, then boom, off to Wrestle Kingdom we go. And everything mapped out. Exactly it, right? And yes, I like the fact that I have no fucking idea. That is exciting. And you know what? You could go down the card and say that, though. You can go down the card and say that. And I know we're going to touch on it, but look at Jeff Cobb. Would Jeff Cobb have gotten these opportunities? And improve the way that he has? Like, he's a guy that's been in this business for quite a while. He's not some guy that just fucking, showed up in a ring one day and said, I'm going to be a wrestler. And, 6 months later, he's doing what he's doing now. He's been around. But even he has improved by leaps and bounds because given an opportunity. Like, there are guys that have made the most of this. That is for sure. And I don't know if they would have gotten the opportunities before. So, again, for all the hardships that this has brought, again, not even from a real world perspective, like a fucking pro wrestling promotion perspective, people have stepped up, and they've stepped up because they've gotten an opportunity to step up that maybe that wouldn't have been given before.
Now, I know lots of people, when there is a new champ crowned, the gut reaction is to think, who are they going to lose it to? When are they going to lose it? Who are they going to lose it to? And I don't want to necessarily go down that road. I want to enjoy Shingo Takagi as champion and be excited about what the future holds for him. But I think we should address those questions anyway, because lots of people are going to ask what is next for Shingo Takagi. So Cactus Max says, who should Shingo be defending against, and how would you book him up to Wrestle Kingdom? Joe says, is Shingo a temp champ, or will/should New Japan build around him as a strong champ? Chris Housen says, after Ibushi, who would you want to see Shingo defend the title against? I'd love them to run it back with Cobb. Their Never title match was so good. I want to see what they can do in a main event spot for the big belt. I'd also love to see him wrestle Jay White and Suzuki again. And then maybe Naito or Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom if he's still champion. So what do you think the future holds for Shingo Takagi?
I'm excited because just the possibilities. So let me. We know Ibushi is next in line, right? Which I think fantastic. Right? We could do that, and no one's going to complain. You do have Jeff Cobb waiting in the wings, which would be the big beefy, two hard hitting monsters beating the shit out of each other. Great, all in for that. Let's work our way backwards, though. Do you think Shingo would be holding a title come Wrestle Kingdom?
At this rate, why not? I mean,
why not? Right.
I don't want to mess around, prognosticating about COVID numbers and what the attendance restrictions might be. But if you're asking me, hand on heart, is he a guy that I think is good enough to deliver the kind of quality Wrestle Kingdom main event that I expect from New Japan? Absolutely he is. I think you're fooling yourself if you're saying that he's not capable of doing that.
Would you have the guts, the balls, the intestinal fortitude? Shingo will Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, that is the match, isn't it? We've already got Ospreay on Twitter calling Shingo the interim champ, and it would be tempting, but we've seen a lot from that pairing before. I mean, how many matches have they had now? Is it 4 matches? And I
had at least a trilogy.
Yeah, I would prefer to see something fresher. To me, I think. Okay, let me jump on to transition to another question. Ashutosh says Shingo winning the title raises a lot of questions. Biggest one for me is who should win the G1 now. The Masonic A says with Shingo as champ, who wins the G1? And questions about LIJ. So Joe says, how will this affect LIJ? Will there be infighting and jealousy or support? Chris says, with Shingo's victory, where does that leave Naito? Can they both exist together in LIJ, or does one of them need to leave? Done properly, Shingo versus Naito can be a money-making feud. Matthew says, has there ever been a scenario where a non-faction leader has held a big belt and stayed in the group? Can we expect any tension from Naito, or will he be happy wearing his t-shirt in tag outings? So I think that is the match that I would make at this point. Naito wins the G1, and then we run Naito versus Shingo at Wrestle Kingdom.
Ooh, boy. Okay.
I'm not saying that's what I think will happen. My cowardly vanilla chalk pick thinks we're somehow ending back at Naito Okada sooner rather than later at Wrestle Kingdom. But if you're giving me the book, Naito versus Shingo would be the main event that I would want to see at Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, obviously it's a match that it's been held off for obvious reasons. It would be fresh. There's a built-in animosity factor. There's I mean, I hate to say it, Will, but I think Naito's got a little bit more of a name to headline Wrestle Kingdom. Whew. That might be something, right? Naito wins G1. Would Naito be like a 3-time winner at that point?
Yes, I think so.
That'd be something. Huh. And who knows how long Will's going to be out, let's be honest, right? Faking his injury.
Yeah, I would expect him to be back by G1. I mean, actually, Manabu gave it an interesting... It wasn't a suggestion for Wrestle Kingdom, but just in terms of a fresh matchup. Shingo versus Zack. How great would that be?
Shingo versus... Yeah. I mean, here's what was disappointing when Will turned in that title. It was the idea of Will having these great matches against a plethora of different opponents. And now that doesn't change because we're placing in Shingo now in that spot to have all these great matches and all these potential awesome main events throughout this year. And let's be honest, we have not even talked about G1 yet, right? So for all our bitching and moaning and all our head scratching and all of our, this product is fucking dry as toast. And, Shingo has been the catalyst of everything that has been good in New Japan Pro Wrestling, aside from like Okan and Cobb and Zach and Taichi winning, I don't know if are we turning a corner here? Are we turning a corner here?
Damon, like every time things start getting really stale and we start thinking, this is beginning to feel like a bit of a chore, they do something, just pull you back in and you think, yeah. New Japan are back. And you think, we're on the straight and narrow now. It's all going to get better now. So I'd like, I think there's reasons to be optimistic here. And, it brings up a wider point I want to make, that New Japan, they are having this very weird year where there's a lot of shit stuff going on. Some stuff is their fault, some stuff isn't their fault. But the main event scene, the title scene, has been completely purged of all the interference and shenanigans that we had in the back end of 2020 that a lot of people hated. We are getting a really high volume of quality matches, way more than we did last calendar year. And, like I said, there are legitimate things to complain about, but I think we should take a moment to appreciate and celebrate that. At the top of the card, New Japan is close to its best, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it really hasn't. Look, Evil was a mistake. I think we can all sit here and say it was a mistake.
I don't think it was the actual crowning of Evil that was the mistake. It was the way it was followed up on, the way he's been put over the last year. That's been the problem, not the actual decision to put the belt on him in the first place. But yeah, I take your point. In retrospect, not good.
Right. So there was a lot of problems. There were a lot of booking problems at the top. And even we've said that, if you can do that bullshit in the middle of a card or under, okay, nobody really wants to see it. Nobody really gets excited to see it. But, okay, if you're going to do it there. But if you deliver a great second half of a show, or even a great, 2 matches, people are not going to remember the bullshit, that's underneath. And it does feel like they've woken up to that. And for all the speculation of how booking has changed and who's got more stroke backstage now and who's, pulling strings and politicking to get their voice a little bit loud. For all that, there comes a time when, for their own good, they know what's right? And it feels like you're right that the shenanigans and the experiments of what we saw for a lot of this year and even last year, maybe we've turned a corner. Maybe we have turned a corner, and some eyes have gotten opened up a little bit wider, and it's people can see that, this is what makes this promotion great, and there's certain elements that we have to stick to.
What did you think of the actual Shingo versus Okada match itself? Because we haven't discussed that at all. So what do you think of the match quality?
I thought it was a very good match. I don't think it was a great match. I thought there were times where it was a little bit slow. Again, if we're being honest, that fucking money clip can get right up the street. It just takes. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he constantly feels he has to go to it. Because it is it's like if you have to put a finishing move on 7 times to get a guy to tap out, it's like, okay, it's not that effective. And even the crowd, and again, it's a clap crowd, but I don't know, you just kind of feel the air let out, just like, oh, this fucking move. I thought it was a very good finishing stretch with the clotheslines, and I still believe Okada is. I love the way he sells a devastating move, like a move that kills him. He sells so great with those just fucking dead stare he has. I thought it was a very good match. I don't think it was one of the greatest matches from either guy, but it was right up there. And I will say this: did the finish feel like it was? I don't know. Maybe because I didn't expect it, or maybe it was because. Again, maybe it was. It just felt like it was. It happened. You know what I mean? Like he hit a move. He got position. He hit the move, and that was that. So maybe it was just the fact that it shocked me and nobody expected. Everybody was waiting for the kick out, I guess, and it didn't happen. And it was just like, what? What did you think? I thought it was, again, very good. Not either one of the twos. I wouldn't even put them in the top 5 matches of all time.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the previous 2 Okada Shingo matches more than this one. But it wasn't a bad match by any means. It was just perhaps dramatically compromised by the fact that I did not believe Shingo had a hope of winning. So it wasn't like it was building to this exciting crescendo where like cheering for Shingo, come on Shingo, you can do it. You're thinking, you're just waiting for Okada to, slap on the money clip and get the submission or hit the Rainmaker or whatever, because I don't think he's actually successfully landed a full Rainmaker on Shingo. So I was just waiting for that. I was just, sort of half watching it, cooking Esther's dinner while I had it on my MacBook and thinking, okay, when are we getting the Rainmaker? And it didn't come, and then Shingo won. So it was shocking, but it didn't have the chance for me to build up that sort of emotional and dramatic resonance with it, because I didn't believe that Shingo was going to win. So very good match, but it didn't reach the upper echelons of their series for me. I did like the fact that Shingo had some new gear, new colours. He'd swapped the green for some gold in his tights and his hair, so he must have been swapping notes with Tommy End.
Yeah. I tell you, it's a magical thing when that happens, though. Like the idea of not knowing, and you made mention to it before, like the idea of not knowing. It does make things a 1,000 times more exciting. Do you think the match went a little long, or do you think it was?
All New Japan main events go too long. I think this is just the sort of systemic problem with New Japan, that they think they've all got to go, at least 35 minutes, which does cause you to tune out for the first half. So, when I was watching the early parts of this and Okada slapping on a side headlock, I'm thinking, this is a long-standing issue that I have with New Japan. Sometimes
I thought they were going to go an hour.
Yeah,
I really did. Yeah, because he kept holding on to that fucking headlock in the beginning of the match, and I'm like, wow. I mean, this is like a, it wasn't forever, but it was like, it just felt like, okay, we're starting out with a headlock that he won't let go of. Like, what's then it was, there's chin locks, and I was like, okay, all right. I mean, they would throw in some heavy hits, sprinkled in there, but it felt like when he was locking on that headlock, that was the first thing in my mind. I was like, oh my God, are we going an hour? So, yeah, I thought it was a little long. What did he go, 40 minutes?
That's a good question, actually. I don't have the results and times up, so let me check.
I mean, I know it went over 30 because they did. I remember them doing the call of the 30 minutes, and
okay,
and I was like, okay,
right, yeah, I'm going to bring it up now so I can tell you exactly how long it went.
Introducing the Lowe's List. While there's innovation in every aisle, these are some of our experts' top picks for 2021. Customize any load with the Whirlpool 2-in-1 washer. Control your home with a touch, thanks to Samsung Connected Appliances. Repel the rain with HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Everlast. And keep the job going longer with the exclusive new line of Flex Power Tools, made for pros. To see who made the full Lowe's list, visit Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in a new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series now streaming on Showtime.
It was 36 minutes and 6 seconds.
All right.
Let me throw some questions about Okada at you, Damon. So Chris says, with Okada losing again, they should do an angle where he shaves his head, puts on black trunks, and returns to the dojo. Send him back to Impact, Damon. And he becomes a young lion again in order to find himself. They can chronicle his journey with videos and interviews. He returns at Dash. Spannerhead says, does the short-term hurt of having an Okada-less G1 outweigh the long-term benefits of a healthy Okada? To me, he is still a shell of the Rainmaker of 2017, and long-term absence to heal his back is what I think he needs to return to that level. So when you were watching this performance, were you thinking, this is a guy who's still clearly banged up, maybe suffering the after effects of COVID, or still, maybe the back? He did take a lot of back bumps. I mean, he took a Made in Japan on the floor outside. I mean, I don't think he's doing that if his back is genuinely fucked. I mean, he's obviously playing that up. But when you watch this, are you still thinking, he's not looking right, he needs some time off?
Yeah. It I don't know how he could maintain a pace and a body of work that he did for so long. I hate to keep bringing it up, man, but every time I see that, and it's not like I watch it every day, but it always reminds me of that documentary on him during Dallas G1, and guy can't even get out of fucking bed. It does feel like he's lost that spring, and I think proof of that is that drop kick as Okada like anymore? Like that drop kick where he would get elevated. And I mean, he still does the turnbuckle one. Shingo took a nice little bump off of that. He does that. But when he hits that out of nowhere drop kick, like you compare it when he was hitting it against like Kenny, right? It just doesn't have that same oomph to it. Like it feels like he's hitting people in the chest as opposed to hitting people in the forehead and the fucking nose with that drop kick. And Shingo's not a tall guy. Look, I do think he's a hurting guy. But you could say the same thing about Tanahashi, and you could say the same thing. You can even say the same thing about Naito.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all wrestlers are powering through that. I mean, you think Shingo Takagi is sort of hopping in and out of bed, up and down the stairs? Oh, I feel as fit as a fiddle today. They're all banged up, aren't they?
Right, and some are worse than others, and so yeah. I mean, no one is sitting here saying that Okada is done by any stretch of the imagination, but 2018 Okada, and 2017 Okada, 2016 Okada. And like it feels like in New Japan, every year you add on to one of those top guys, it's like adding 5 years, 10 years to their body. They put their bodies through hell, and some guys can't. I mean, a guy like. I mean, you see it all the time. Older wrestlers, and I'm talking about guys in the 90s, guys who wrestled in the 90s can barely walk, and they're getting hip replacement surgery, and they're getting knees replaced. That's the future for these guys, for the most part. It's a sad thing, but what they put their bodies through when they're 20, 30, and even in some cases early 40s, that's a factor. And and again, every year wrestling that style, it's like adding 5 to 10 years to your fucking life, or shaving 5 to 10 years off.
Thanks for bringing the mood down, Damon. Let me throw.
Sorry, but
no, I'm joking.
But
It's a salient point.
You know what I mean?
This is an interesting question from Classic Catch. She asks, why did New Japan have Okada give a long interview bashing the double gold idea and a new belt, essentially a babyface promo to a large section of the fan base, only to have him lose. He's had quite a few interesting promos like this, where he's been like the voice of the disgruntled fan, shitting on the interference or the booking or the double title thing and all of that. What do you make of that?
I think I think that's a frustration that not only we have, but they have. Do you think guys in the back are like, when they're getting the finish or they're getting match layout, that they're thrilled with something like that? Especially a guy like Okada. You think Okada was thrilled to have, matches at Cork and against fucking Ghetto and I mean, they're friends and all, but it's, there's only so much of that you can handle. But yeah, he was, and I think that says a lot about his place in the company. I don't think Juice Robinson cutting a promo like that would go over very well. But here's the thing too: he's been consistent, right? Even when we were talking about double gold dash dome shows, he was the one that was like, I really don't give a fuck about that white belt. I'm wrestling for this belt because this is the one that matters. So he's always been that guy that shits on the whole idea of it. I kind of like the fact that he's honest about it. I do. But again, I don't think anybody in the company would be able to cut that kind of promo, shitting on the concept of merging belts and double gold dashes and all that stuff.
Okay, let's talk about the fourth match then, the special singles match with Kota Ibushi defeating Jeff Cobb in 14 minutes, 54 seconds with a Kamigoye. And Booze Leprechaun says, can we finally put some proper respect on Ibushi's G1 last year in light of his match with Cobb? Fights in his opponent's style, thus giving his opponent a chance to shine whether they win or lose. It's not always sexy or flashy, but who else among the top 4 or 5 guys does this? And yeah, I do want to make that same point. The same thing did occur to me watching this match, that we should celebrate Kota Ibushi, because he's a guy who I think has been given a bit of an unfair rep this year. People have been burying his title reign, and I think, apart from the Sonata match, I thought all his title matches were really good, and I think he's a tremendous wrestler. He maybe doesn't get enough love from the fandom, and he is outstanding at finding his opponent's strengths. This match was a case in point, and also showed not only that, but how much Jeff Cobb has improved over the last 12 months as well. The pacing of his matches are much better. Like, he's spacing out those big, spectacular spots. Jeff Cobb has been one of the bright lights in New Japan over the last year. And, looking at the tradition of the big horse wrestler, I would say now Jeff Cobb has eclipsed Michael Elgin. Elgin had that brilliant match with Tetsuya Naito back in 2017, but now I think Jeff Cobb's resume as a New Japan wrestler is superior to that of Elgin, so I think that's something worth mentioning. And they were just, I love this match, Damon. There were some really outstanding spots, like the pizza toss where he just grabbed Ibushi and just flung him around, and Ibushi was like basically turned into a helicopter. That was hilarious. The Kobigoye, and Ibushi selling at that, where he just like arched his back, he's up on his tiptoes, like that's how he wants people to sell the Kamigoye. So those were 2 really outstanding moments there, and by the end of the match it looks like Ibushi has survived Cobb rather than beaten him. And yeah,
right.
Booze correctly points out how Ibushi always makes his opponents look good in defeat. So I thought this was just an outstanding match, nice and tight, 50 minutes, no filler. It was all really good stuff, really exciting. So you can't say enough good things about this one. Dr. Gary says, with how good Cobb is getting, and surely the IWGP challenge in his future, how does this impact the United Empire when Ospreay finally returns? Will Ospreay still be the head honcho? And it's worth mentioning that Jeff Cobb has beaten Will Ospreay in their last 2 singles encounters, so something to keep an eye on for the future. So Damon, what did you think of Ibushi versus Cobb?
Loved it. I love this match, and I'll tell you why. One, we always talk about how Jeff Cobb, it's always a benefit to Jeff when he has a guy that can bump for him, and he can just toss people around. And you got to tip your cap to Kota Ibushi for being the guy to take a lot of hard-hitting shit. 2, the idea of there might have been a time where Jeff Cobb would have tried to have wrestled a Kota Ibushi match in this match. and they went the opposite.
He did. I mean,
Kota
if
Ibushi.
sorry, Damon, if you go back and watch Jeff Cobb's debut G1 in 2019, he is trying to wrestle types of matches that are not playing to his strengths, and he's getting gassed, and the matches are not paced well. They're going too long. He's working the wrong style. It's not bringing out his strengths. But he seems to have completely flipped that on its head, and he is just delivering every single time he goes out there and has a singles match. I'm standing up and applauding. I think he's been outstanding.
Yep. I love the fact that this match was constructed around not limbs, not leg locks and arm bars, and I'm going to work on the neck. Or he focused on what would people might on the surface think is the strength of Kota Ibushi, but he worked on his core and taking the wind out of him, and focusing on like ribs, and every move was just something to take the wind out of Kota Ibushi.
But
to make it hard for him
it
to.
Didn't start off like that though, did it? It started off with them having a striking match, sort of like, that MMA style, and Jeff Cobb's thinking, I'm going to show this guy. I'm going toe to toe with him, exchanging the elbows and the kicks, and then he sees Ibushi getting the better of him, and Cobb's like, fuck this, I'm an Olympic wrestler, and just shoots with a double leg, puts him on his ass, and starts mauling him. So I thought that was a really great way to start the match.
Yep, and he smothered him. Like, he worked on smother, and that doesn't mean that there wasn't like crazy spots. Like, when Ibushi does that, tight, he's walking on the top rope and he hits that, in the corner. I don't even know what he calls it. What does he call that? The fucking, where he springboards off the top rope.
Golden triangle moonsault?
Nah, not the moonsault. Because he did do that from the top rope, and Jeff barely caught him. But thank God he did. The one where he does the fuck me. He does like the Frankensteiner from the top rope.
Yes, yeah.
I forget what he calls it. I'm terrible with names. But like that, like Jeff flew across the ring on that one. And then there was the hard hitting strikes. Right? The whole match was centered around those fucking knee strikes. I love the match, man. I love the way it was paced. I love the way it was set up. I love the fact that Kota did all his crazy bumps. He took a lot of hard-hitting stuff. He got Jeff over as a monster, as this guy that, you're right, it felt like he didn't win the match. He survived the match. And I thought even in losing, Jeff Cobb looked great. So, no, I thought this was fantastic. I loved just about everything about it. Right? There was really nothing where I was like, everything I thought was not only good, not only executed well, it was smart pro wrestling. Like, it made sense. And that, I think I appreciate that more than anything else. Like, okay, right. We're going to strike. Okay, that's not going to work out very well. Let me do what I do best. Double leg takedown, boom, and now we're pounding the shit, and I'm smothering the guy.
Third match was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, with El Desperado getting his first successful defense against Yo in 23 minutes and 40 seconds. This match was good, but not great. But I think we've got to give these guys a pass, given the fact that we know that Despy was recovering from a really nasty-sounding bout of COVID. And Yo as well, if rumours are to be believed, has been suffering too. So I think pretty good match considering their respective health problems. The dynamics of this were a bit strange to me, because there was sort of like dueling leg work, which is not something you expect to see from a babyface. And it just, again, I've said it many times, that I think Yo would be a better heel than a babyface, because it was unsure who I was supposed to be cheering for there, which, I don't always need sort of WWE style, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy coding in a match. But Yo, he's got that kind of sort of swagger and smugness, and also the way that he works his matches with the leg work, that I think would make him a more effective heel than a babyface. But I think this match, did get going in the end. I thought a really nice, smooth closing stretch at the end, with Despy sort of laying him out with a big punch, and then the pinche loco at the end. Taiji Ishimori coming out as the next challenger, and it seems like we'll get Hiromu back soon as well, so hopefully a bit of life being injected into what's a pretty stale junior division at the moment. But I thought this was a good, solid match.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Good, solid match. I went into this kind of looking, okay, how are they going to construct this match? How's Despy going to look? Can he go 15 minutes? So every like timestamp, I'm kind of sitting there like, okay, he crossed that barrier, he's crossed that timestamp, he's crossed that. I think it was absolutely intentional that they worked on legs, and there was a little bit more of that. You're not going to see a lot of paced recklessness. I thought things were deliberately set that way just to buy them time, right? And I say that with not, I'm not shrugging my shoulders and hand waving. Like that's to be expected. And I thought they did a good job of it. Solid match. I mean, to me, I liked Ibushi and Cobb more, but it was right there. I guess for a junior match, I kind of want a little bit more. And I don't know if Yo's that guy. I don't know if Yo's a guy that. I don't want to say he's not good, because that's not what I'm trying to say at all. I just don't feel excitement when I see Yo. And I think that played a little bit into this as well. Like, I don't know what it is. I think he's a good wrestler. I don't get excited when I see Yo.
No, it wasn't your typical junior heavyweight title match. We've been spoiled really in recent years. I'm thinking back at Dominions, where we've had the likes of Kushida versus Hiromu, or Hiromu versus Ospreay, or Ospreay versus Ryu Lee. That insane match back in Dominion 2019. So yeah, it was a different style of match, and I think again they're kind of down to the bare bones really as far as that junior division goes. I think once they can start bringing imports in more reliably, then we can start freshening things up a bit. But yeah, I think in a non-COVID world, I don't think Yo would be sniffing a junior title shot, to be honest. But I thought they did well considering the circumstances. I'll move on then to the second match, which was Bushi, Sanada and Tetsuya Naito defeating Doki, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi in 11 minutes 31 seconds, with Sanada getting the pinfall over Zack with the Aussie suplex. So I enjoyed this a lot. I thought this was cool. There were some really nice reversals down the stretch between Zack and Sanada, and then at the end we had Naito and Sanada challenging Dangerous Tekkers for those IWGP heavyweight tag titles, and I like this. I'm really excited by this, Damon, because Guerrillas of Destiny, you understand that while they're there in Japan, that New Japan feel the need to use them and have them prominently booked in the heavyweight tag division. But now that they're gone, I think there's opportunities to do a lot more fresher stuff. That sort of all Japan style booking where you take two high profile singles wrestlers who are not doing anything and make them into a good tag team and start having exciting feuds with that. So now I'm really excited about Taichi and Zack versus Sanada and Naito, because there's sort of good chemistry between all four guys. We've seen Zack and Sanada have got great chemistry. Zack and Naito have got great chemistry. Taichi and Naito have got great chemistry. So I think there's a lot to look forward to there.
Oh yeah, I mean this is what we've been pining for years, is the idea of a big star challenging for these titles. And we got a little taste of it with Tana and Ibushi. And now you put Naito in the mix and Sanada. Yeah, I'm fucking all about this. This excites me to no end. It really does, because it does give those titles a little bit more punch. Like, you mean to tell me when they do this, when they book this match, this isn't like at minimum semi-main event? Main event? Like, this can be a fucking great match.
Yeah, I think this would be a semi-main event at like a big summer struggle show. So this you have this is the semi-main, and then Shingo Ibushi is your main event.
Yeah, and when you think of the mud that we've had to go through for years for these tag titles, it was just a thing. But the idea of I mean, we're calling it the All Japan tag titles here, the booking structure here. We're going back to the 90s, but the truth of the matter is that, those tag titles they meant something because it meant something. And we got top of the card guys fighting for these titles in this past year. That's fantastic. The match was good. Don't get me wrong, but I think everyone was just focused on the fact that in our very near future, we've got Sonata, Naito, Dangerous Tekkers, tag titles. No one's complaining about that.
I forgot to ask you before, what are your thoughts on an upcoming Desperado versus Ishimori Jr. type match?
Well, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be very good. I feel like we've been here before.
Ishimori is more of a dynamic opponent that I think will get the best out of Despy. So when Despy's had a chance to recover, he's a guy who I think excels in when you get in those high-paced, high-flying. He's not a typical high flyer, but he is capable of doing those spots, high-intensity stuff. And I think Ishimori is a guy who wrestles in a faster, high-paced, more intense style than a Yo would. So I think Ishimori and Desperado has got a better chance of being an exciting match.
Do you think that is we're just buying time for Hiromu to come back?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, and we're waiting for Despy. We're waiting for Despy Hiromu, right?
Yes, I think so. It brings me on to the first match for Dominion, which was Phantasmo, Ishimori, Chase Owens, Yujiro, and Evil defeating the team of Sho, Yoshihashi, Ishii, Goto, and Tanahashi, with Ishimori getting the pin over Sho after hitting him with a bloody cross, which has set up a couple of matches for the first half of the Kizuna Road Tour. So on June the 22nd, we're going to have the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championships defended, with the Chaos team of Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Goto defending against the Bullet Club team of Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, and Dick Togo. I just sicked up in my mouth a little bit. And then on June the 23rd, we're going to have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships defended, with Roppongi 3K defending against Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo, which is a match I'm sure is going to be good. They have wrestled each other 3 times before, so although it doesn't feel fresh, and that's not really fresh, it's relatively fresh considering the everlasting Roppongi 3K versus Kanemaru and Desperado feud that we've been treated to before. But it just speaks to the fact that this division, the junior tag division, is very, very stale at the moment. Gran Akuma pointed out on Twitter, something I agree with, that this is where the forbidden door, well, let's not call it that anymore, but the partnership with AEW, once they can get cross Pacific talent exchange going, I think New Japan's junior tag division would benefit from getting some AEW talent over there and freshening things up. Or not even just AEW, get just anyone, just get some new bodies in there, just because it is very stale at the moment. So are you excited at all about those 2 title matches I just mentioned?
Well, maybe one of the 2. I will say this: it's refreshing to see the spotlight be on the Never 6-mans. The idea of Dick Togo hopping in there to it's really not. I don't know why we're doing that. We have a roster full of talented individuals that would appreciate just a little taste of the spotlight. I don't know if Dick Togo would be on my list of all that. But yeah, look, you take to go some of that unpredictability and some of that I don't know how it's going to play out factor that we talked about at the beginning of the show. You got to take the good with the bad, Joel. You got to take the good with the bad.
And better to have Dick Togo and Evil and Yujiro in the Never 6-man action than having them in the main event. So.
Fucking about, them fucking about in the main event. You can always tell. Wait, you can always tell when Joel. Is Esther going to sleep soon?
Yeah, she's asleep in the adjacent room. Actually,
Right.
You can tell. And I wanted to bring on to another point actually about the English commentary for Dominion, because I listen to the English comms. Kevin Kelly, absolutely fine, but I know Rocky Romero was commentating like there was someone sleeping in the Jason Root because he just did not want to raise his voice at all. And Chris Charlton sounded like he was in a cave. So it was a funny one.
It sucks, you know. It's like they got to call a fucking pro wrestling show and have like life go around. Like, you know, Kevin Kelly's wife is doing the dishes or trying to watch fucking Netflix, and you got him screaming his head off in the room next door. What do you think Cheryl feels like? It's 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm like, fuck this guy. Like, oh, my life. Somebody save me.
Well, there were a couple of other title matches on the Road to Dominion shows. I don't know, did you see either the heavyweight tag or the Never Six-Man tag title matches?
I saw the tag championship match.
Okay. Well, let's touch on that then. So this was on July the 1st at Korakuen. We had Dangerous Tekkers successfully defending against... they defeated Guerrilla's Destiny to take the heavyweight tag titles from them. I thought this was really good, actually. Some people were saying that this would have been better off put on a Dominion card, but I like the fact that they put it as the main event at Korakuen, gave it time to tell the story. Miho Abe came back. They got all the shenanigans out of the way nice and early, and I thought there's some really good stuff here. It was, as a lot of people have said, I think the best iteration of Dangerous Tekkers versus GOD that we could have hoped for. There's some really good chemistry. The Tangaloa and Zack exchanges were really good. I always enjoy Taichi kicking people really hard, and it was a nice feel-good moment at the end. And I want to give some love to Taichi for his promos. He's one of my favourite promos in the company, actually, because he's not really cutting heel promos at all. He's giving these really sort of softly spoken, very thoughtful, but very deep, very cutting promos as well, where it's just he seems to be talking with a lot of sincerity, but in a way that's very compelling as well. So I know this feud isn't for everyone. I know people are probably glad to see the back of it, but I enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah, I liked it knowing the end result, right? But even how we got there, it was good. I mean, truth be told, I didn't have super expectations, but here's my takeaway from it, though. You know how we all love like heel Tanahashi? Like when, his little jaunts over like to DDT, if you remember back that, and he's kind of shitting on DDT as a promotion, and I don't know, he's got a little arrogance to him, a little bit more. Well, what the fuck am I doing in this dollar store promote? He's got that. But he's just being Tanahashi. Like I kind of like the flip side of that, where Dangerous Tekkers are, again, they're heels, but there's this element of, I don't know if it's relatability or, like you see their point, I guess.
Yeah, like it's a case in point. The promo he cut after Dominion, where he was saying to Naito, Taichi's directly addressing Naito. He's saying, "Do you really want these tag belts? Do you respect the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship, or are you just doing this to fill time because you're not good enough to be in the main event scene? Have you just brought Sanada as your +1? Do you really want this? Think about that." And it's not, you're a fucking idiot kind of heel promo. It's something that makes you, even if you're not cheering for Taichi and Zack, think, he's got a point there.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of times the best heels have that, throughout the history of wrestling. Like, you may not like their actions, but there's connective tissue to, it's not just a simple, I turned on this guy because I'm the best, blah, blah, blah. But it's more, a little bit more subtle and a little bit more nuanced. And it's a little bit more, okay. I mean, he does have a kind of a point there, your thinking might be skewed a bit, but you have a point. And I like that. And I like the fact that the dynamic of them being these, I don't even want to say reluctant baby faces is I kind of like that role of them. I kind of like, maybe it's because it's different. Maybe it's because you don't usually see it. Maybe it's because they do it so well. But yeah, I mean, that, like, I really enjoy that. And as much as I am not the biggest fan, like, I thought GOD did good here. I thought they did well. I think that here's the thing with God. Like, I never really go into a God match thinking, okay, I'm going to get fucking something I'm going to rewatch forever. Usually, I'm generally happy when the match is over and we're done, and it's not terrible, and it's not, anything I'm going to jump up and down with. I thought they did really good with this. I think they do have decent chemistry. These two. I don't have a problem seeing them back in a mix, but much later. You know what I mean? Much later.
I think there's plenty of interesting and fresh things that they could be doing stateside, if that is indeed where they're going. They could be having some fun and interesting feuds in Impact or AEW or even Strong while they're over there. So no need to rush back to Japan.
Right, exactly. Let's let this percolate a little bit, and then you can come back into the mix a little later on. But again, I think that's just because we've seen enough of them. But I don't think they have bad chemistry at all, those two teams. I really don't.
And then let's talk about the show that took place on Wednesday, June the 2nd at Korakuen Hall, particularly the main event, which was the Never Openweight 6-man tag championship match with the Chaos team of Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Goto. I think it was their record-breaking defense, actually, where they beat Bushi, Sanada, and Naito, 31 minutes, 15 seconds. So Yoshihashi, of course, getting the win, getting the submission over Bushi with a butterfly lock. They don't miss, Damon. You put these belts, these three guys at the top of a Korakuen card, everyone goes home happy. They always deliver. Yoshihashi looks like a star. You get all these guys in little bite-sized chunks where they can, shine, and it's not outstaying its welcome. You get a sixth of a Bushi match and a sixth of a Sanada match and a sixth of a Yoshihashi match, and it all clicks together. It's exciting. It's well-paced. Everyone is delivering, and these have just become one of the highlights for me of New Japan over the last 12 months.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It takes guys and allows them to do what they do well, quickly, get out of the ring. Right? I'm not asking Sanada to do a 36-minute...
Get out of the ring. Someone else now.
Right. That is perfectly A-okay. And it does camouflage. You do forget when you get that, okay, I don't necessarily want a 36-minute Hiroki Goto match, right? I don't necessarily want, but you have these guys that are excellent pro wrestlers that, again, maybe they're maybe physically not 100%. And they're able to still perform in the ring at a great pace and make exciting matches with 1/3 of the work. Like, I think that and I'm not saying that to be to be negative. I'm saying that this is a positive. You're hiding weaknesses. Sanada, the idea of a Sanada fucking 30-minute match is nauseating. Put him in this mix, yes, no doubt. And here's the thing: as much as I shit on the idea of Dick Togo being in it, okay, Dick Togo for in and out in a minute or two. I mean, is that horrible? The idea of that there's a lot of people that might want that spot, okay, but how are you going to fit both? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And it could be. It could be somewhat exciting, right? But no, the Never 6-man titles should be used more effectively, in the sense of more often, because they usually deliver. They're usually solid. They hide weaknesses. They make people in those matches look better. You know what I mean? They make them look better. And you add the idea of the titles actually meaning something, and they're fighting for something that's worth it, and not just some random multi-man tag match. It does lend itself to a piece of the puzzle that you can use on shows where, again, we're not going to, and I hate using the term waste big matches, but you can put a match like that second to top or at the top. Put bodies on a show, and it will work.
And fast forwarding to that June 22nd match where we've got our Chaos champions defending against that horrible team of Hydro, Evil, and Dick Togo, I will be absolutely heartbroken if Chaos lose that match. So whilst I'm no fan of that Bullet Club team, I'm going to be really emotionally invested in this one. I'm going to be cheering and living or dying by every near fall there, because I really, really want Chaos to retain those titles. These are the best champions that these Never Six-Man belts have ever had. So I think there is real stakes and emotional attachment to that match coming up against Bullet Club, because I could easily see Bullet Club winning that and giving those three guys a belt and give them something to do, and I don't want it to happen. I'll be very, very upset if they do.
Right. Here's what they did. All that. I mean, look. No, I'm gonna take that back. That's good, and you know why? They're such dicks, and they're such, you don't want to see them win the title now for whatever reason. Now, again, maybe back in the 80s, it was, I hate this guy. He's a bad guy. Whatever. Like, you don't want to see. You are emotionally invested. And the reason why you're emotionally invested is all the work that they put in to make you emotionally invested. For all our bitching and moaning about it, kind of doing what it set out to do.
Yeah, Pro Wrestling 101. So I will applaud them for setting this match up. And I actually now I've talked myself into being excited about it and looking forward to it.
Look at this. See? Look at these sons of bitches.
Here's something else that's interesting for this Kizuna Road tour. We have Yota Tsuji and Yuya Uemura embarking on singles gauntlets. So each wrestler is going to be involved in a gauntlet of 5 singles matches. So Yota Tsuji on the 14th is facing Tanahashi. 15th he's got Taichi. 16th he's got Okada, which is really interesting. 22nd he's got Zack Sabre Jr. and the 23rd he's got Great Okan. Yuya Uemura on the 14th he's got Suzuki. So that's been about a year in the making, that Suzuki versus Uemura singles match. On the 15th he's got Zack. 16th Tanahashi. 22nd Taichi. And the 23rd he's got Ibushi. So I think there is a good reason to be tuning in for those undercards to check out these singles matches with Tsuji and Uemura, who, they've been around for about 3.5 years now. It's 2018, or New Japan Cup 2018 when they debuted. So I think we are getting very close to the point where I want to see these guys out on excursion, and there are options for that now. So maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to say this is the swan song for them as young lions, because they've got to get someone else to fill those spots. Because if the pair of them leave, then there's no one left. But definitely, I'm really interested in these matches. Particularly seeing Okada against Yota Tsuji, that's a really interesting one, and Uemura against Suzuki will be one to keep an eye out for as well.
I feel, and you might not be able to off the top of your head, but didn't they do this before? I want to say it was with Sho and Yo.
Yeah, and they did it with Kitamura as well. I remember him having a gauntlet match before he disappeared off the face of the earth. Right.
I love the idea of this. And then there's a little bit of competition between the two. Who's got, they might go over, and then somebody picks up a fucking shock win, maybe, right? To kind of get a leg up on the other young lion. I don't know. Maybe a count out win, something, crazy. I don't know. That I like that a lot. That's really great. I mean, listen, you're looking at guys losing over and over and again, but maybe somehow somebody gets like a fucking dumb win, gets the win.
Or you could have some sort of faction recruitment angle at the end. I'm looking at Tsuji, the fact that he's got Great Okan as his last match, so maybe they, something at the end where he gets recruited to United Empire. I don't know, but we're probably looking at 10 routine defeats from these guys. But we could talk.
Okay, but then they're tied.
Stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Let's say they're tied, right? And then they have a match together to decide who wins.
Yeah, I'm into it.
All right, let's fucking do it. Call them up.
All right, well, I cannot talk to you about Strong this week because New Japan World was down earlier today, so I did not get a chance to watch it. So I don't know if you have watched Strong, Damon, and you've got any hot takes you want to share, or we can save that until next week.
I'll save them till next week if you don't mind. I was very busy with sports this week, so I cannot.
Okay, well, we have a few questions. I'm going to save those until next week. I think it's been a very nice show, Damon. A lot to unpack there from Dominion and to look forward to with Kizuna Road. So I say we leave it there. So let me plug redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. If you want to throw some money our way, we'll be very, very grateful. Discord link is also in the show notes. We're starting to see more action, more activity. Lots of people joining since Dominion. I suspect more people getting back on the New Japan bandwagon there. So if you want to join the fun, you can find that link in the show notes at Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast if you want to get one of our t-shirts. Scampy has now found a wonderful, loving new home. One of my, I don't know, did I mention it last week? One of these girls that I used to teach in China has adopted him. And he is so happy there, Damon. She sends me videos every day of him, snuggling in the bed with her and showing his belly. He looks like he's having the time of his life there. So very happy for the Scampster there. So you can show some love by buying his t-shirt as well. Thank you as always to Editor Dan. You can find him on Twitter at LousyHero219, and exciting stuff on the way from Escape the Box. We got some new songs coming out soon, which hopefully we can give you some news on. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great wrestling-related shows. Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes and some kind words. Really helps us move up those rankings. Follow us on Twitter at the SuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.
Introducing the Lowe's List. While there's innovation in every aisle, these are some of our experts' top picks for 2021. Customize any load with the Whirlpool 2-in-1 washer. Control your home with a touch, thanks to Samsung Connected Appliances. Repel the rain with HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams Everlast. And keep the job going longer with the exclusive new line of Flex Power Tools, made for pros. To see who made the full Lowe's list, visit Lowe's.com. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in a new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series now streaming on Showtime.